So I'm here with Celena de Luna. Hi, Celena. Thank you for sitting down with me and being part of this beginning.
Hi. Yeah.
Celena and I are part of the same sisterhood, Deep Inner Knowing, and so that's where I got an eye up for your videos and your beautiful gift to the world, this plant medicine.
Mm, yeah.
I had a vision on the new moon to start working more with plants, and so
mm,
I am really excited to talk to you today and
mm.
pick your brain a little.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Mm.
That's really cool.
And first, I just want
Mm.
to ask you a question. This podcast is called Her Sacred Adventure, and I'm curious to know, do you resonate with that? And
Mm.
what's your story with that?
Yeah, so when you say that, what comes to me is we're speaking of a woman. And I mean, I only know about being a woman. I mean, in this life anyway. But there's something that like I love being a woman. Um, it just feels like this like really mysterious way of living and unfolding life and experiencing life. And I feel like we just have so much inside that we're discovering about ourselves throughout time. And so when I hear like her sacred adventure, I feel like it's like just the rippling of and the moving through our cycles and seasons as we grow older into elders, like, and following that adventurous path and like literally just unfolding everything that we have inside and creating it, and like, allowing our life to match up with everything that we're meant to experience uniquely in our lives. So I feel like that is extreme adventure as well, because there's a lot of darkness and light, and it could be extremes, and you're playing with all the elements, and you are just here to play, and that play can just be so many things for every single woman. So yeah,
Mm,
that's what I get from it. It's a little bit of exciting.
mm.
Mm,
Thank you. I love that.
yeah.
What is your sacred adventure? How has that been like?
Oh, I mean, oh gosh. I feel like I mean, it's like every woman I know, because I'm also a match to it. But like, there's just this extreme mystery of life, especially when you're learning about yourself and you're on the self-awareness path, and especially if you've had um, a certain level of trauma when you're younger, and you are unfolding that throughout your life of what happened, or lots of parts of my experience has been, I don't remember anything from my childhood. Like I blocked out so much. And a part of my life now is to start integrating so much of that, and really healing trauma in so many different ways, through plants, through art, through so many, all of my passions, whatever it may be. But it's like a mystery, and I actually find joy, although it comes with pain as well, but joy of like uncovering that mystery of self. And then just not just like personal experiences as being younger, but like our subconscious mind. Literally, you can tap into the world's subconscious mind when you tap into your subconscious mind, and the mysteries unfolding with that. So I feel like my type of sacred adventure has been just uncovering myself and learning about myself through everything. Um, Anytime I'm connecting with a plant or with a person or whatever, they're like a reflection and a piece of something that I'm learning about myself. Um, and I have a fascination with like piercing the veil, going into different worlds and to different certain types of dimensions, like really playing with our spirit, being on this planet, being a human. So yeah.
Mhm.
It's fun.
Has it always been like that? Or you say like that you don't remember much of your childhood. When did you start your healing journey and how did that unfold?
Sure. So I guess I'll share a little bit, just really briefly. And um, so I had a unique childhood, which I think creates a bit more of the mystery for me, and why I even gravitate or pull to it more. Um, so when I was 4 years old, I stopped speaking. Um, to selected family members and to selected people in general. So when I started school for the first time at 4 years old, I stopped speaking and I didn't speak at school until I was 14 years old, until I moved into high school. Um, and I had a bit of an extreme case. It's called selective mutism. It's an extreme social anxiety. And um, that experience for me, because it's not common, or at least in my reality, in the way I grew up in that time, it wasn't common. I felt like I was the only person in the world, like as a kid, the only person in the world that was like that did that. I didn't get proper mirroring. I never even heard the word selected mutism, which is a psychology term, until I was older, until I looked it up myself. So, and I didn't really get support through it in the ways that were beneficial for my being. So, life seemed mysterious to me. I was a unique person and I didn't know what was going on. So that kind of unfolded, or not unfolded, but continued throughout my life. Of there's something that I don't know about myself or about the world, or people don't really understand, and I'm meant to here to understand it. So that being said, I totally pushed that away. As a kid, I didn't know what was going on. In high school, I completely disassociated from it. I just act like it never happened. That was my way of coping. Then around 18, I then started, like, just walking a bit more on my own, just starting college and kind of stepping outside of those same comforts of being around the same people. And I just started exploring. I started reading. Um, I started just meditating, doing like very, um, you can say even beginner spiritual types of things. Um, and I remember getting this Akashic record reading when I was like 19 or 20. And that was the first time ever I asked, or I said out loud, and I started speaking about that time when I was younger. And I asked this reader, which I didn't even know what Akashic record reading was. I never even got readings or anything like that. It was really new for me. I asked her, why didn't I speak? I was, and that opened up a whole other gateway for me, because she channeled a very higher perspective, and I never heard something, I never heard that perspective before. I was always very hard on myself and I never understood. And it just allowed for me to move into a more like the mystery, the like piercing behind the veil, that the way that she was able to channel information and let it be so personal to me. I just got fascinated. I got fascinated about myself, and I got fascinated about this world, this mysterious world of like speaking and to spirit or whatever it may be, to self, to the subconscious mind, and just started healing. I got into like psychology and just kind of analyzing self and watching tons of videos and plant medicine. Yeah.
Wow, that is some story.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty unique.
Mm. And as you were speaking, I was also reminded of why I'm doing this and
Mm.
interviews, like this wanting to share our stories. I feel like it's so important, especially women.
Yeah.
I studied social anthropology when I was younger, and
Okay.
that's when my eyes were opened for how much of history has been told by men, and that women's voices are, you know, they're not heard, they're not told, they're not
Hmm.
part of the picture. And yes, so I'm really
Mm.
honored to hear your story. So thank you for sharing. Yeah.
That's a beautiful reason for asking stories.
Yeah.
Because as women, we have the most amazing stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mm.
Yeah.
So when did you tell me about your relationship to plants?
Sure.
When did you-
So I take a shamanic approach to plants. It's where there's so many different types of ways we can welcome in plants into our lives. We can go to school in many different ways as well. Um, However, I've always been an artist, and I've always been on a different type of path. And um, I was studying shamanism. I was taking some classes and just experimenting on my own as I really related to animism, which is just everything is alive. Um, all is alive and all has consciousness, and you can speak to everything. Everything has a voice, and everything has messages. Um, and that's like a one perspective, a shamanic approach. So that um, that was probably mm, about 7 years ago, or maybe even less. I was getting into that, and at the same time, I was also into permaculture, and having my own little garden. I just got into it that way. I got into it because also food. I I just kind of woke up to my diet hurting me. I always had really bad stomach pains, especially being with all the nervousness. And I just woke up to all that, watched a bunch of documentaries, like flooded myself with so much information. And I just cleared my diet and started over. And so I started with a lot of plant food and making my own food. And that's when I started growing my own garden and then going into that community of people that were growing food at their house and learning from them. And they were just really like with the earth, with the land. Um, so that's pretty much where I started. Um, and I was growing herbs. I had a fascination with herbs, and there was this connection that I had with my garden, that it was like teaching me about my life, like the way I was tending to my life. Um, and there was just something there, spirit that was there, and but for some reason I didn't have, like, I was seeking a mentor. I was seeking someone to um, somewhat support me through, like, just proper mirroring of what was this. No one was really like extremely conscious in the gardening world. It was like they were very connected to the earth, but there was no one who was really kind of guiding me through those types of things in my life. So I I actually went to school. I decided to go to school, and it was an amazing school, very much my type of school. It's called the Gaia School of Healing and Earth Education. And it's a shamanic approach to connecting with plants. Um, And I actually didn't know what I was getting into. I was just like, I just said yes to it. And so it's you get certified of being a folk herbalist, specifically wise woman tradition. So there's all these like categories of different type of herbalism, and that's a branch inside a branch. um, and it has to do more with like shamanic connecting with plants and speaking to the spirit of the plants and whatnot. So um, my my training very much just aligned with my path, and I'll just share the base around our structure of learning about the plants was actually sitting in meditation with the tea in nature. We were outside in the field, and going through a shamanic journey and not knowing what the plant was um, before, and our teacher, or my mentor, guiding us through a journey of all our senses. So we take in the tea, we're opening up sacred space, we're calling in the plant spirit, we're setting our intention, we're casting out a very green witch school. Very working with a lot of magic, like piercing the veil and really calling in that magic. And and then we actually intake the tea, we connect with the plant, and we're opening up all our senses of how is it affecting my body, specifically my body. How is this plant interacting with my specific unique being? And we'll see, and we're just listening really closely, and we go through a journey. And then we journal all of that, and then we share it with the group. And you'll notice that many of the other women, because it's not all women, in my class it was all women, and you find out that there's so much similarities, that we're picking up on the same intuitive things, uh, and images, and it's just fascinating, especially when you haven't experienced that yet. And for me, it was such a confirmation and an empowerment to my own intuitive voice, that I can start trusting it. I got a lot of confirmation from other women, and and then my teacher would reveal what the plan is, and then we would learn about all of the logistics about the plant. So the practical medicines, how it actually affects the body physically, and so on and so forth. More of the American herbalism types of things that you maybe learn in class. Uh, Excuse me, there's the trash. I am outside, so real life is happening. Just one sec. Okay, all good. Um, so yeah, and that's how I learned about all the plants that I've connected with. So it's an entirely different way to physically, emotionally, and spiritually bond with the plant that like you can never replace. So I've been trained also in carrying out that tradition and that way of medicine work, that tradition of connecting with the plant. And it's a native practice of intuitively, spiritually connecting with the plant and asking the plant what its medicine is. So yeah, and then it's been my personal journey ever since.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love that. This is speaking to me so much. It's speaking to
Mm.
my soul that is like, yes, I know this already, but I've completely forgotten.
100% that. Yes. Like our souls know this. Totally no. And what was the strongest teachings, and also guidance from the plants, like the intuitive message I got so much is, we are remembering this. This is something that has been in our bones, in every single cell, um, since the beginning of time, especially with women,
Mm.
but all human beings. This is how we connect. is in we're just remembering it.
Mm.
So once you kind of open it up or set up the space, you know what you're doing, you know? And like we're just like reminding each other that we can do this. And it's like, of course we can. You know?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
on a, like a bigger scale, if we zoom out, how do you what's the importance in this? Like what is the importance in women and men, but maybe especially women remembering this, and what is your kind of vision?
Ooh. Wow. Well, couple things come into mind. One is that nature needs us so bad right now. I usually am like I don't come from that space. Like I'm more of like, oh, nature's got it. But literally, like our planet needs us to connect. When we're not connected, we don't see the effects that we have. Like so, you know, just as the way we bond is we take each other in, and if I'm harming myself then I can feel it, and if I have a bond with you and I'm harming you I could feel it. So when we bond with nature, you have a direct effect with it and you start connecting and it's already in you, you can't take that back. And so you see the effects and you feel the effects and you start like getting a deep connection with how the earth is actually doing, how these plants also need to be caretaken. You know, we're their stewards. Yes, they grow wild, they grow naturally, but we also live here too, and we are penetrating their environments, their ecosystems. We're spreading ourselves. So this goes along with every single choice we have in our life, the cosmetics we use, the products we use, the choices we make every single day with food, everything is our vote, everything matters. So I think on yeah, if I'm zooming out, it really matters to personally start creating this practice of connecting with the earth, tending to the earth, whatever is natural and intuitive to each person, because we all have different missions. That really matters in loving the earth because she needs us right now. Like, and not to mention it also like serves us extremely because we're um increasing our consciousness, we're increasing our own health, because when we connect with the earth, it's our body our body cells know how to speak to plant cells. Like it's the same, it's natural, it knows how to communicate with each other, it knows how to heal with each other, and regulate each other. So just that alone, not it's just like we're benefited from it, but also we are here as we're not here alone, you know, we're living on this land and we're here to connect with it
Mm.
and keep it alive as well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I love how you said
Yeah.
that we all have individual ways to connect, and we all have our individual paths. And
Yeah.
yeah, we have our medicine to bring. And my excitement in this her sacred adventure is to explore that. What is that for each individual? Like what's their medicine to bring? And
Yeah, I would totally agree with that, to allow other people and to give someone a voice and like a platform to share their story so that they can influence other people. It's like you're influencing people like to the max because you're giving someone else a voice.
mm,
Yeah,
yes.
so thank you.
Thank you. Um, so I just moved back. Like I told you when we spoke before, I just moved back after
Mm,
7 years to my
mm,
apartment in Norway, in Oslo, the capital. It's in the middle of the city. And
mm.
I've been on such a journey myself, like connecting on deeper levels to myself and to the earth. And I notice that every time I come back to the city, I there's like this veil coming again, and I get influenced. It feels like I forget because I get swept up in the busy energy. And curious if you have any advice for, I'm sure that many people feel like that. I know that many people live in
Mhm.
cities and they're like, I want to connect to nature and I want to connect to plants, of feeling the call, and I
Mhm.
start. Do you have any
Mhm.
wise words for us?
Yeah. Yeah, I can really relate to that. I've been in multiple situations where I've been traveling or I've lived in a different situation. You know, like ideally for me is obviously living in nature, but I've not always been in that situation. And I've had those experiences where because I'm so connected to plants, when I'm not connected, I feel not connected with myself and I feel really out of alignment. So I've found ways um, to connect with them, and it really depends on your practice. So I guess I'll just share like, and it's also just like where you are and what you like to do and how you like to connect with yourself. I love connecting with plants through like self-care. So like the products that I choose, the things that I make, like what I put on my body, like even salt, like using salt as a scrub with essential oils. Essential oils is pretty common to find everywhere. So like, and it really it has such a strong spirit of the plant that you can take it in anywhere and you can kind of feel connected to the plant. So those are kind of like holistic self-care types of practices. And there's so many that I can share. I'm like huge on just self-care in general. Um, but I've kind of just naturalized all those types of practices. There's also ritual. So going into meditation, you know, and just sitting with yourself, like if you're in a somewhat of a chaotic environment, or a city, you can feel a bit you can feel disconnected from the ground, from the actual earth because it's covered. Um, but when you sit and you can really even visualize yourself breaking through, like having roots and just breaking through that and connecting to the earth, the center of the earth. Um, and also sitting with tea, like having that practice, you can do that anywhere, really slowing yourself down and sitting with tea and just not even if you're not like extremely psychic, like it doesn't even have to be that way. Not even all the time I even receive those types of messages. It can be very somatic, so it's like, what does it smell like? What images are you getting? How does it make you feel? Does it make you feel safe and warm, or does it make you feel excited? All of that is increasing your awareness about the medicine that plant is bringing you and connecting you back to just your senses and connecting with the plants. So there's self-care, there's meditation and sitting with plants that way. There's house plants. You can bring in some plants and caretake them that way. Um, there's visiting trees and parks inside the container of the city. So like when I lived in the city, which I had a really hard time. I lived in like the dead of the city in LA for about a year, and so this is also where like I really practice these because I was super cut off from like the wild, and I would connect um, with like a city tree, and I would like sometimes I mean I would be in a lot of frustration and cut off, and we do experience that, but even through that I would say thank you, thank you because you are holding space for all of this right now, and you're like super tough and you're doing it. And even that is like a form of connection. Hugging a tree, like I know it sounds woo woo or whatever, like that type of stuff, but like on another energetic level, when you, and this is real, nature loves when we adore it, when we see it as beautiful. So as human beings, the energy that we give off when we are adoring something literally feeds nature, like physically. It keeps it alive energetically. So if you see a tree or a plant, even in the city, and you just kind of just take a moment and you're like, that's really nice, you know, you're doing something. You actually are physically on an energy level. If you could actually see energy, you're doing something. So that matters too. Um, what else? And then like there's tons of like uh, ways at which you can have medicine in your home. So different remedies. So like there's tinctures or um, different types of ways to take in medicine. So even having like a tea practice is a way to connect with plants, but there's like on the go medicines as well, um, that you can buy at a lot of places now that you can connect with that plant in as deep as you want to go, to be honest.
Mm,
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. What
Yeah.
reminded me when you said about nature being really appreciative when we appreciate it.
Hmm.
Like the feminine, which is nature, it loves to be seen in all its glory, right? Like it loves to be seen and in its
Oh my God. Yeah.
mm.
Yeah.
And I literally
Yeah.
did that. I went out and I found a tree and I hugged it, and I'm like, oh, I'm a tree hugger now.
Yeah.
I appreciate it
Mm.
so much. Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's everything, you
Mm,
know? Like the thing with our society and what we can be taught is like those things can blow over so fast. Like, oh, it's just like not that big of a deal, you
mhm,
know? But like energetically, nature is very sensitive, and what we see as subtle is actually not subtle for our nature. It affects us and it affects nature. So doing something like that actually is a really big deal.
mm,
But we've been taught that it's like, it's whatever, like we're not really doing much, or we can take it in that way. But when we like are peeling off our senses, that's like it's huge.
mm,
It really does affect, and it ripples out, and it creates this effect that's mm, just affects a lot of people that
mm,
we don't even know it a lot of the time too. So, but
mm.
it does matter.
Yes. Yeah. A reconnection to nature
Hmm.
and to our own nature.
Yeah.
Mm. So the last question, what comes up for me now? Because I also want to keep these conversations short and sweet.
Sure.
Mm. Well, what came up for me, I just wanted to mention what I have right now in my house is chaga, which I am connecting to the
Mm.
plant. And I noticed that I have a tendency of like making a batch and then not wanting to do it so much. So I make a huge batch and I put it in my fridge and I freeze it and stuff like that. And then I asked you, and you told me, you told me the medicine, the potency of it will dissipate after like 4 days. Um, yes, and I was curious. It's such a like sign to me that I'm not really connecting. I'm
Mm.
just wanting the okay, I know this is good for me. How can I make this effective? You know,
Hmm.
very masculine.
Oh, I totally understand too. I mean, I go through that all the time. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Tell me more. How do you connect with?
So, yeah, so your question is like how do we actually connect so that we're kind of like not like we're kind of like yeah, not really doing that anymore or um hmm, I would ask how would you connect with another human? Like if you wanted to if you wanted to like say you're seeing people because I mean I literally I know this because I do it all the time. Um but like we can just see people all day and like they don't really stick to us. Um we kind of just let them by whatever it is. But like if you really wanted to connect with another human, how would you do that? Right? Maybe you would have them over. Maybe you would make time out of your day. Maybe you would be like really curious about them or like what do people love, and I'll let you know what I love is when people want to understand me and learn about me, you know like ooh they want to know about me, like that's really cool, like that means like they care. um that translates the same to plants. So like maybe even doing a bit of research, like like what are the benefits of chaga? Like what are other people saying about it? Maybe that will motivate me or excite me to like want to learn more. Like, like how does it like to be made? What, what are those types of things? Because sometimes like yeah, actually learning the benefits in that way, those like quick things that are said online can bridge something to where we can cut the time out of our day to be like, oh, you know what, I want to take a little bit more time to make it because I've found that like it can give me something in a way, and that's okay. Like I actually get motivated that way too sometimes of like, oh, like I'm needing more to be more grounded or whatever it is, and I'm seeing that like these plants actually can do that. They can really help the body do that, and if I didn't know that, I probably wouldn't be as motivated. I mean, yes and no, but like those types of things really do allow me to like step in a bit more, to cut out a bit of more time that it actually just needs, for it to just be properly taken in, you know.
Mm.
So that's just a way, just observing how you would connect with a human and how you would want to take that planet, and also just not overloading yourself. We can get really overwhelmed. I know a huge pattern, and I see it all the time. I've done it before that like we take in a lot of plants at the same time through a lot of supplements, and when we take things through like through pill and stuff, it's totally fine. It's just it doesn't allow for, it can, it's just potentially it doesn't allow for us to really connect with that plant as much,
Mhm.
because we're not like smelling it or tasting it, or like maybe it's bitter, maybe it's sweet. We don't know. We're just kind of taking it down. And that's okay too. That's a form of medicine. However, if you want to create that bond, we can meet it in a different way. And that's just, taking that time to learn about it, or whatever motivates us to take those steps on how to caretake it. Yeah.
Mm, I love that you're saying that. It feels like this is so important because it reminds
Hmm.
me of what Yana, the woman who created Deep Inner Knowing, says about how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah.
And
Oof, that's true.
mm, notice in myself this is a pattern, like this
Mm,
wanting connection, knowing, like this deep inner knowing that I'm longing for connection, and then mm, being rushed, or like, so what you're saying brought me into like this is the medicine, like connecting to the plant or connecting to people or connecting to the moment or connecting to my body, that is the medicine, and we can um, practice it in so many different ways and in every.
mm, mm, mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, it's so much of that. Like, it's so much of about just self-awareness is like starting to see like our external as a just a reflection of our internal. So like when my life is just chaotic, like my relationships are also chaotic and like just really quick, and like I'm not giving them the attention they need. I'm not nourishing them, and like it just gets really crazy. But once start things like I start creating like this balance and this grounding, this routine or whatever my being needs, I'll start seeing my relationship with plants even get deeper, or at least in more of my awareness, because you are connecting with them. It's just the level at which we're conscious of, and we're bringing that in and we're building that. So yeah, I totally understand that.
Mm.
Yeah,
So, last question. What are
sure.
your three favorite plants right now? Is that even allowed to say, like, favorite plant?
Well, yeah. So like how I work with plants is it's so intuitive. Like it's so feminine. It's um like there's no structure. But there is this like the structure is that it's super fluid. So and I trust it so deep. Like I literally have no problem with it. Um so I have like a good chunk of herbs that I know well, and then I have like even maybe a bigger chunk of herbs that I know like general things about. I've maybe sat with it or I've taken it and I have it. I haven't fully dove into that strong relationship yet. So there's like ones, and then there's ones that I know really well, and they're like my go-tos. So it's just like people, just like relationships. Like you have your best friend, and then you have like friends, and you have your acquaintances. Um, and yeah, it really just depends on where I'm at in my life. Right now, I'm really just grounding and just like creating, like I just moved back into my home, and like before then I literally had my head cut off. Like I was like so just needing a home, and I was like super chaotic, and I wasn't even making space for those grounding herbs because I felt like I wasn't even like a match to them. Now I'm like, oh, I feel like I have my space, I have a routine now. I'm like, allowing time to just breathe and ground and stable, like restabilize my nervous system. And now I'm actually working with chaga as well. I'm working with chaga and reishi, which are medicinal mushrooms that are very grounding, work like in 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 fascinating ways in the body that I don't even know how to comprehend, but they really do know how to speak to the body in the way that they're like helping you just adapt to just any type of chaos that is going on. So I'm working with those. And also it's called a lithra root. It's another type of grounding adaptogenic herb that I really connect with. And I make a tea. I'm actually drinking that right now. I make a tea of that. And what else am I? And I'm connecting with St. John's wort, um, which is actually a plant that I haven't fully connected with that deep, that I'm like actually quite excited that I'm bringing it in. Um, and I'm just learning about it right now, and I'm actually really enjoying it. And I learn about plants through tea. So I'm a lot of herbalists work in many different ways. Some like specialize in just like taking tinctures, like just like medicine, like the way you make the way how you work with the plant. And I my practice works a lot with tea. So I make teas of these plants and just taking it daily or maybe every other day, whatever intuitively I feel, and like I have time for, and I'll really like just consciously take it in. It's like, oh, I'm connecting with, and I care about it. It's like I'm not just gonna maybe leave it there, you know. I'm gonna put it in a special place. I'll put it on my altar, like all those things just matter with intention of like the energy that I'm putting into it, and I'm saying, hey, like I want to get to know you, and I care about you. So that's what I'm doing with St. John's wort, and then the chaga and the reishi and the lithra root.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you for asking.
Yeah. I've enjoyed this conversation so much.
Cool, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is so fun for me.
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
you're so I yeah, it's amazing to me that you this healing journey you've been on, and because
Mm,
speaking of this in such a powerful, grounded way, and I'm just so grateful to
mm,
sharing your medicine. So
mm,
thank you.
yeah,
And where
yeah,
can people find you if they want to connect?
yeah. Well, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and then my email. You can probably visit my website, but my website's not updated. It's like totally not a vision of who I am right now. So, but you can find information there. But so my business is called Of the Moon Medicine. So all of my things are that. So it's like at Of the Moon Medicine is my Instagram. My email is ofthemoonmedicine@gmail.com. So and you can probably and you can find my website is ofthemoonmedicine.com. And then you can also just find me by my name, Celena de Luna, and you'll know that de Luna is translated as of the moon. So just yeah, remembering that.
Hmm. Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you. Is there
yeah. Thank you too.
anything that you want to before we round it off?
And I just want to say thank you so much. Like it's okay. If anyone knows human design, I geek out on human design as well.
I've just I've just started to look into it.
Okay.
I've
Okay.
done a lot of I've done a program on my gene keys, and she also told me a little bit
Uh,
about time.
oh man, I forgot about Gene Keys too. That one's good. Um, anything that like learns about self, I love it. I'm a total projector, so like when I get invited to something that makes me feel like really seen and like really allowing or honoring my gift and it feels like a yes, it feels so good. So I just want to say thank you because like as a projector, I totally need to be invited and I'm just kind of waiting. So you invited me to this interview. It's like, yeah. So like I have a deep appreciation in all of my being that like this is how I connect with people is like when people engage with me in this way. And when like and anything lights up and I'm there, it feels really good. And also because of the stories of my voice, like when someone like I have these types of conversations and we allow to really connect on a soul level and communicate, it also means so much. So the work that you're doing, I just want to say it really matters. And I just really want to appreciate you. So thank you.
Doing that. Thank you. It means
Yeah.
really a lot to me. So mm, appreciate you, sister. And
You too.
I want to have you back. Let's do a like advanced interview.
Oh yeah. We'll get to the real plant stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Mm,
Thank you.
yeah. Thank you.